I threw away. I mean, I filled up another one of those city
Okay,
carts.
we
But
approve.
no, the thing that was interesting is, I mean, there were old laptops that I used here that customers turned in, and I just put them on the side, waiting for somebody to need one. So I'll give them. But these were hiding, sort of. So I took it out and took a look, and one of them, when I opened it up, had two hard drives. I always take the hard drive out and destroy it because they're first of all they're small hard drives, and second they have data on them that nobody has business knowing about except the original owner. But it
Okay.
had two hard drives. I'm saying, oh, interesting. So I take the first one out, unplug it, put it on the side. Take the second one, and as I'm taking it, remember these are in the old days. All these hard drives were in encased in a like a flimsy piece of metal case, and then screwed in. It was an empty case. It was like it was made for two hard drives, but there were no cables, nothing to connect a second drive. And I think, why would they do this unless it was used also for another model? Or I didn't take the thing apart to look see if there were any cables inside, or maybe a header to plug a cable. But it was very interesting. It probably 15-year-old. It was a dual core HP that back then it had room for two drives, but then you can understand why, because the drives back then were small drive. We didn't have terabytes of drive, so I guess you could put it, but it was very interesting to see how they did that. Yeah, that was an interesting laptop. But yeah, I put out there by the street about, I don't know, 10, 11 laptop. The next day they were gone. And I think my guy, the one who comes and takes them and recycles them, makes some money out of them, is used to
He
me.
sells them
This
for the metal.
well, I think when you take it to the um, dump, the recycling dump, they actually give you more money per pound when it's a computer or any kind of electronics. It's not just metal, because there's hardly any metal in it. But I think they give you a bunch more money when you turn in electronic, and so it's nice. I did a lot of cleanup in the last 2 3 weeks and got rid of a lot of stuff that was just worthless. If it was worth anything to anybody, I kept it. I'll wait until next year, see if somebody needs something. But yeah. Anyway, um, next step away. France's privacy watchdog fined Microsoft $64 million for not offering clear enough instructions for users to reject cookies used for online ads as part of the move to enforce Europe's tightening data protection law. So, I mean, what instructions do you need to know about how to reject cookies? It always pops up and you say allow or block. And besides, you can go and delete the cookies.
Who's getting in trouble now?
Microsoft in France.
Microsoft.
Yep. For not
I don't know.
offering
No,
clear enough instruction for users to reject cookies. I
is
don't
it?
know.
Are they talking about Microsoft website not, or the
No,
browser?
Microsoft. I mean, the company. I have no
Yeah,
idea. I
but
mean, it's weird.
okay. So I entered Microsoft's website right now, brand new. It's probably about their website. Their
Um,
website, a lot of websites today, you go in, the first thing you
yeah,
see is some sort of pop-up, right?
right.
We're using cookies. You
Yeah,
can either disable or
allow it or
um,
block it. Yeah,
right.
accept
So
it
I'm
or
thinking the problem is on the Microsoft website. That's the point, because they don't do it. Um, don't care. I don't know.
well,
The thing is, I mean, how shall I say this?
don't say it.
No, no. An analogy that will somehow. This is like you stepping out of, or this is the equivalent of stepping into a mall, right?
Mhm.
And not being slapped in the face. Hey, have you noticed there are cameras watching your every move, right? Stop already.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't get where that comes from. I understand that non technical people are not too aware about what cookies do and how they work, but warning about them will not help, right? I don't
Could it
know. This is,
could it be that they're anticipating legal action in the future, so they're protecting themselves now?
who?
Companies, I mean, web pages, where they're putting the
no,
disclaimer
it's part of it are European laws,
regulations.
Yeah.
yeah, European regulation. This started before GDPR, if I remember correctly. So GDPR is a fantastic ruling, right? It's a fantastic set of rules, because it gives the the individual, the end user, it gives a lot of power, and and it's a very positive power. Okay, I am allowed to stop my the tracking of myself, and I am allowed complete erasure of my data from your databases, right? This does not include like invoices and stuff, but this does include any metadata collected about me that isn't related specifically to the uh, uh, to a transaction, for example. It doesn't need to exist. So um, the ruling, the guidelines, the set of rules are fantastic, but the the actions around it sometimes are completely ridiculous, and part of it is that cookies, I mean, I'm grateful that some sites take it seriously and they give me an option, right, to disable most of the cookies, for example. That's great. I would rather that this would be a setting on my browser, and they will just all adhere to the settings I've set on my browser, right? Instead of bugging me every single time. That's what, like, the problem is, it's become cumbersome.
It's kind of
It's
like
like
do
going
you
to the doctor's office, right? And filling up those 15 minutes of forms
Yeah.
just before you can talk to them, right? This is exactly this. It's getting to that situation, an
I
equivalent of that, of course,
I
right?
had a discussion with a local practice. I asked, so you do my chart? My chart is a universal system for records that can be you can share with other people, other companies or medical practices that have my chart can all be shared. It's a great system. But
Right.
the guy said, I can't afford to. It's very expensive. So I have to use this patient portal thing, which is it's adequate, but can't integrate with something else. And I see the value of having the integration for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, that's
It's kind of like
the
the
world's not with that.
notification. Would you like to receive updates when you go to the web page, right?
Yeah.
Which is almost
Oh,
every
you're
time
talking about
no.
notification,
Yeah,
live
yeah,
notification. Yeah.
yeah.
Why?
Almost always never. So it's like, well, there should be something in the browser that says never, always no to this question.
This
Yeah.
is actually, you know what? Let's touch that for a second. So those allowing notifications, right, does not just allow notification. You are basically allowing the browser to check up with that website periodically. That website decides the period, right? And that website will be able to push notifications even if you do
Yeah.
not have a tab for that website open. This is very important for people to understand. You are allowing that website complete access to you even when you're not on that website. It also means that if you have activated any of those notifications settings and you closed your browser completely, or at least you thought so, right? That browser still has a process hanging in the background. And if a notification arises, that browser will show you a notification, because part of the whole design of these live notifications was, okay, you got a mail application and you want to know when you have mail even if you close that browser tab, right? And it makes sense if that's the only use. But if it's just a random shopping site, why would I need notifications other than, let's say I really want tracking, but it'll never be just tracking, right? It'll be a lot of other stuff. And
Yes.
your computer is pinging that website again and again and again just to check, do you have anything new for me? Or I am ready for your notification. So keep in mind that answering yes is basically keeping your web browser active all the time. It is communicating all the time. If you do not see a use for that, just answer no. And check your browser settings. There's also a place in your browser setting, depending on the browser, where you can see all of the places you've actually approved, and you can remove those. So if you're getting random noise, that's where you need to look.
You should go and remove all the cookies periodically.
It's not just cookies, right? I'm talking about
Yeah.
the permission to
Yeah.
get notification. I think it's a lot worse than cookies.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Netgear. Netgear has fixed a high severity vulnerability affecting multiple Wi Fi router models and advised customers to update their devices to the latest available firmware as soon as possible. The flow impacts multiple wireless AC Nighthawk, wireless AX Nighthawk, Wi Fi 6, and wireless AC router model.
Wow.
On their website, they have all the models. Although Netgear did not disclose any information about the component affected by this bug or its impact, it did say that it is a pre-authentication buffer overflow vulnerability. The impact of a successful buffer overflow exploitation can range from crashes following denial of service to arbitrary code execution if code execution is achieved during the attack. So, if you have a Netgear,
Check.
go ahead and update it. If you have any
That's always good.
router that is on its standard that you didn't change the operating system on, then you should update it.
What's nice about a lot of the new routers now, most of them come with this where you can just say check for updates.
Yep.
when you go in. Used to be I had to go and look at the number and then go to the website. Well, I have this one, but it's not. I download it now. You don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
Did you see the vulnerability with the Google Home speakers?
No.
There's so what's happening is that people can sniff the Wi-Fi connection to it and look for the packets that are the Google packets, and by identifying the MAC address, send a deauth message to the speaker, and then reestablish a connection to it. And once they do that, they've basically added another user, and they can turn on and off the microphone and listen to your conversation.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
Hold on. First, they need access to your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, well, yes, but they can your Wi-Fi. You don't have to necessarily be. Let's see. Let me read. It says attacker wishes to spy on a victim within a wireless proximity of a Google Home. Does not have to have the Wi-Fi victim's password. Attacker discovers a victim's Google Home by listening for MAC addresses with prefixes associated with Google. Attacker sends deauth packets to disconnect the device from the network and to put it into setup mode. So setup mode reads its own Wi-Fi.
But that's what there's a leap there that is completely missing. How does it listen to the MAC address, right, on an encrypted Wi-Fi connection? It doesn't. You
have to have a Wi-Fi hacking tool.
There
are tools that let you listen.
Is it possible that the ad hoc Wi-Fi network that's running is how it's being done? Because the Google Home will create an ad hoc network for you to set it up, and that device, that it's still enabled somehow? Because that's how you configure.
Right, but they're
Home.
talking about deauth. It's already authenticated, so it's not doing that.
But maybe it is, and maybe instead of it being what it sounds like to me is instead of broadcasting the network of Google Home _2.4, it's broadcasting MAC addresses, and the manufacturer of the device knows what MAC address it is based on or you can tell what the device is based on the MAC address, and then they're able to use that MAC address to sniff the network and send those packets. So it's not broadcasting the signal on 2.4 gigahertz, but it is still broadcasting a network.
He's using a tool called Nmap Scan.
That's just a regular.
Right.
And he's fine. And using that, he says he found the ports, the local HTTP API for Google, and then using he set up a proxy to capture
How did he get access to the network?
He's not on
That's like low. Come on, if he's doing an Nmap port, oh wait, he's doing it from the outside.
He's connecting to the device through its MAC address, essentially, and then Nmap scanning that and sending. It's what it sounds like, and then sending those deauthorization packets, like you would if you did a factory reset of it, for example.
So he's connected to, so he's still connected to the network somehow, right? What I'm trying to understand is because they're talking about wirelessly. So I'm outside the home. Okay. I want to listen in on one of the devices. So I want to do a deauth. In order to do the deauth, I need to be connected to that network somehow. If they're talking about,
well, what he's saying, he's somehow finding out a way to send a packet to it to go into setup mode, which means it's now the access point. So
that's the vulnerability.
That part is concerning. Right. The part that from within the network, somebody can reset that without having the passwords or, the authentication process going through. That part is concerning. What I'm trying to understand is, can this be done wirelessly without being hooked up to the local network? Now, if I had an open Wi-Fi network, for example, or an open Wi-Fi connection, yes, definitely. But then we know that shouldn't be the case. Something's fishy. It's interesting. I'll definitely.
Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Simply Done Concierge. Folks, we can make money, but we can't make any more time. And so that's what the folks at Simply Done Concierge are there for you. whether it's meal prep, organizing, packing or unpacking, errand running, pet care, doing laundry. We'll come in the house and do whatever you need. We also help you with your business. So if you feel like your day is overbooked and you need some more time back, that's what we do here at Simply Done Concierge. Go to simplydoneconcierge.com and tell us what we can do for you. I know we can help you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you're not familiar with Triangle BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and the surrounding areas. We have 31 chapters and about 525 members each week. Our goal is to help each other grow our business. And our local small business success story today is Carlton White with Visionary Business Brokerage. Carlton is also the visitor host in RD27. Bull City Business Leaders, they meet Thursday mornings at 11:15 a.m. at Parazad Restaurant in Durham. Carlton, good morning and Happy New Year. How are you?
You as well.
You've got your to-do list for the year, I'm sure. You're a very organized man, right?
Some days I'm more organized than others, but yeah, I would say I'd say that's a check mark plus yes.
There you go. Visionary Business Brokerage. Okay, so you help people buy or sell businesses.
That's correct.
All right, so January, this is our dream time of the year. By golly, this year I'm going to do this. For somebody looking to buy a business, whether they just came out of the corporate world, they've always been wanting to do it, what are some things for them to think about with regard to not only buying a business, but buying that business?
Well, I would say there's a couple of things they need to look at from the very beginning. And the first thing is to have some sort of an expertise. I think the people that are successful just without any background, without any not even formal knowledge, but on the job knowledge, is pretty tough. And then they also need to have the passion. One thing I tell people all the time is visualize yourself running this business. So in other words, I can see myself getting up in the morning. I can see myself building this business. I can see myself doing those types of things. And if they can do that, that goes a long way towards getting to what they need together to be a successful startup or small business or buying a business or any of those type of things.
And I agree with that mindset, because if all of us, and you and I are about 30 minutes older than 30 years old, just barely, and we can look back at our previous jobs, and I think the satisfaction for most people, it may have not been the job that paid the most, but it's the job every morning when we woke up, it's like, I love doing what I do.
No question about it. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and I've had 3 different jobs. This is like the third business I've started and been involved with, and you learn stuff, and a lot of times you don't even realize that you're learning it. And but my first business I was in 20 years. I was 39 years old when I sold it, and I absolutely thought I knew everything. And then I started my second business. And I realized in about 30 minutes, I didn't know anything. I was just like, I didn't know anything. And so you have to kind of start learning. But there were some things that weren't necessarily that would carry over from one business to the other. And then those things, it was kind of strange to where there were little islands in the stream. And I'd say, well, yeah, I do know about that. And I do know about this. And so your ramp up is a lot quicker if you have that background. And then I sold my next business and then started Visionary. Same story. I thought I knew everything there was to know about everything. And it didn't take me very long to realize that I didn't know anything about this either. But again, it was easy to move some of those skills over from my past experiences. And then you get to where people will ask you a question and it's like, you know the answer. And it's like, I'm not exactly sure how I know the answer to that. I couldn't tell you, but I feel like I know the answer. And that experience, I think, is really, really valuable.
Oh.
And it's something that us, you and I, and all the folks that have a little bit of seasoning in their careers sometimes discount, sometimes don't really realize the value of that. And so it's been really fun to help people and to be able to give them answers and insights and things that, as you're giving them the insight, it's like, I don't know if this is any value or not. And they're like, wow, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. And so you have to kind of get with that program. But
So
like,
go ahead.
but to your point, those are the most fun contacts that you have.
Yep.
Because you're able to help people, and you're not necessarily even charging for it.
Mhm.
It's just a situation where you're just kind of helping somebody out.
Yep, I'm with
And
you on
that's
that.
very satisfying to me.
So I'm going to tease this a couple times before we get to it, but Carlton has one of the most famous movie faces you've never seen. So I'm just going to tease that. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes because it's a wonderful story. With regard to buying a business, that falls in the category, and you and I both work with small business owners, and we try to explain to them, at least from a coaching standpoint I do, is find out what you can't do or don't want to do and outsource that to an expert. CPA, I mean, normal things come to mind.
Stay in your lane.
One of the things I think where some people don't realize the value of a broker to buy or sell their business, instead of like, yeah, you know what, so I'll put a sign up and people will call and they'll pay me, $1 million for my company that's throwing off $82,000 a year, stuff like that. And I don't think people realize that folks like you are out there to help them get the top dollar for their business.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And when I my little elevator speech that I make, I call it the 3 C's that we offer. We offer convenience, we offer confidentiality, and we offer the ability to be confident that you're getting a good deal. And the first two, the convenience and the confidentiality, are really, really important to small business owners, because they're in there working, and most of the time they're really actively involved in their business, and they're looking at it saying, well, if I stop growing my business to sell the business, then that's not going to be very helpful when I sell the business, because it's not going to be worth as much. So we'll approach those business owners and say, look, this is a situation where